So I'm currently making a larger response video to another streamer right now, but this sort of piqued my interest, so I'm taking a bit of a detour and focusing on this train wreck of a video. So to give you some context on who this guy is, Jalen Lord, who has a YouTube channel called Hiding in My Room, is a travel vlogger who mainly became popular off of travel vlogs in Japan about 5 or 6 years ago, and is responsible for such bangers like Why I Refuse to See a Therapist, and Why People Bore Me, and My Love Dog Gave Me a Urinary Tract Infection. Alyssa Alien made a pretty thorough inquiry into him back in 2019. So if you want to learn more about his lore, definitely check that video out. Today I kind of want to respond to one of his more recent videos about him apparently going broke and owing $37,000 in taxes and complaining to his audience about it. Let's see what that's all about.
So, as some of you may know, I have a massive tax problem right now. Basically, I owe a lot of tax because over the last few years, I made quite a lot of money and I didn't pay as much tax as I was supposed to, and I didn't declare all of my income properly, which I was supposed to do. And before any Americans say, "Oh, you didn't make much money," I was making between 20 and 30,000 pounds a year over the last few years, and in the UK and in most countries across the world, that is quite a lot of money. I'm so sick and tired of Americans saying, oh, 20, 30,000 pounds a year is like McDonald's wage. Okay, maybe in America it's not very good money because in America you got to make like 100, $150,000 a year to be able to say you can live comfortably. Maybe it's like that in America, but it's not like that in the rest of the world.
Okay, first off, depending on where you live in the US, that statement of having to have $150,000 to be secure is patently false. Uh, if you look at New York, for example, technically you'd be right, but um, if you look at other states in the union, like Oklahoma and Kansas and Alabama, those states have around the median household income of around $50,000 to $60,000, which roughly converts to 40,000 pounds to 50,000 pounds. Um, and that's per family too. That's not an individual income. So technically, the standard of living in the US is slightly higher than the UK, but you don't have to have $150,000 to live here comfortably. So, with response to the McDonald's worker comment, I looked at a list of the salaries provided by ZipRecruiter, for example. Maybe this isn't the best place to look at McDonald's salaries, but I think this is assuming an hourly wage. And for Arkansas, you can see that it's around $24,000. And if you claim to be making about 2,000 British pounds a month through YouTube, that roughly translates to $2,447. So that will roughly average out to $24,000 a year, US dollars, that is.
My dad, for example, was a technical engineer project manager, and he only made about £36,000 a year, which is good money in the UK. He was able to have a big house, multiple cars, raise a family, go on holidays.
But £36,000 right now is not the same as £36,000 back then. Let's say, I'm not sure which year his dad started working, but let's say he started working in 1983. We know that in 1983, the average income was around £8,500, right? Uh, and if we convert that into today's standards, that would be £27,000, probably a little bit over that. But if we type in 36,000 into this calculator, right? Um, assuming that his dad made £36,000 in 1983 or around that time, we had about £116,000. So That's a massive amount of money, and it's far above the national average, even in the UK today. The next couple of minutes, Daniel sort of talks about his financial situation, where he failed to do his self-assessment accurately for the past couple of years, and now he'll have to pay around £37,000 and possibly double that because of penalties. What he says next, though, is a bit funny in my opinion. Let's check it out.
So you might be wondering, if I made so much money in the past few years, where is the money now? That's a very good question, and I would like to know too. Basically, I lost a lot of it in the stock market, and I spent a lot of it traveling the world and meeting girls.
Well, I guess it takes some accountability, right?
And I actually blame a lot of it on Mila.
And there we go, folks. Strap in your seatbelts. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
So you remember Mila, the girl that I was obsessed with and couldn't stop obsessing over, and I wasted a lot of money to go to Rotterdam and live in that crappy little apartment in Rotterdam where I was being ripped off. I was spending like £1,200 a month for that stupid apartment, and then I paid nearly £3,000 for 2 months deposit, which they never gave back to me. They said that I broke the sofa and I made a mess in the kitchen or something like that, and they just ghosted me and blocked me and didn't pay me back any of the deposit money just because I broke a sofa, as if it cost £3,000 just to get a new sofa.
Look, man, I know you spent a lot of money in the Netherlands, and I can imagine it's not very cheap to live there, but looking at the Airbnb prices, I'm not entirely convinced that you made the best decision to choose the apartment that you chose. I'm looking at some of these prices and I'm seeing like 900 USD and 800 USD, which is much cheaper than the place that you've chosen in Rotterdam. So, and looking at the video that you posted at the time, it seems that your Airbnb was very, very, very nice. It had two floors, it had a nice sofa, it had a nice television, nice amenities, kitchen, all that stuff. I'm surprised that that Airbnb wasn't more money, to be very honest with you. And as for the couch that the Airbnb claimed that we broke, I looked up some prices for luxury couches online, assuming that that's like what the couch you had in that apartment was similar to, and they're around the $2,000 to $3,000 range, which kind of checks out in terms of the pound amount. Now, I'm not entirely sure why they blocked you, um, and that seems very odd, and it could have been a scam. I don't know, but the house price seems to be fairly reasonable given the price you were charged for breaking the sofa to begin with.
I'm really annoyed with Mila because she basically destroyed my YouTube channel. I fell in love with her so badly that I was willing to destroy my YouTube channel and sacrifice my credibility and destroy the trust between me and my viewers by making fake content. I had to make this fake content whilst I was with Mila because she didn't let me talk about our relationship or vlog together, and she didn't even want me to tell my viewers that I was in Rotterdam because she was scared of being judged by my viewers. So in order to make her happy and make her not dump me again, I had to obey her rules, and I made all this fake stuff like, oh, I'm working in a sandwich factory in Germany and I'm doing this, and I'm like living on a boat, which was an Airbnb boat, and I spent a lot of money on Airbnbs and rent and stuff like that in Rotterdam and Germany, traveling with Mila, and she wouldn't even let me vlog us together and tell my viewers what we were actually up to. And I destroyed a lot of my reputation, and a lot of my viewers turned against me and stopped watching my channel because they found out that I faked a lot of stuff.
Alright, so I think there's a lot to unpack here. So, as for the claim that he made a lot of fake content while he was with Mila, I can understand how he could think that the sandwich factory thing and the living on a boat video were fake because he wasn't really doing those things. But this channel is riddled with content that is fake and literally trollbait. Looking through a list of videos on the channel right now, way before this even happened. I'm seeing titles like "Why I Hate My Wife," about why Daniel hates his ex-wife, which a lot of that was rubbish, as he would say. Um, and then I see a title called "Why I Don't Want My Wife Seeing Other Men," um, which is sort of like a trollbait title as well, because I'm not even sure he even cared about his wife seeing other men, even though he acted like he did. Um, and I'm seeing a video called "Being Homeless in Japan," right? And for that, he just got his own tent and he pretended to be homeless for a video. His wife at the time actually made a video about why I hate my husband and put it onto his channel. Now, all of these videos were really entertaining and funny, but they were still fake content. Like, there was no way at the time that Daniel actually hated his wife, or that he was actually living in a tent. It was funny because to the viewers who were fans of him, they knew that he was troll baiting and drama baiting, right? Um, so I'm not sure if you can make this argument of like him making fake content and how it dilapidated trust in his viewership, because he made the same content before as he did when he was in Rotterdam. So I'm not even sure how he came to this conclusion in the first place. He also claims that he sacrificed his credibility by doing this, and I'm not really even sure what credibility he had, or he just has delusions of grandeur. Like, the guy knew at the time, and still knows, that he is a lolcow. What is a lolcow? Someone who makes an ass of themselves online to get lots of views. Now, people already lost respect for him when he cheated on his wife and revealed that he had a secret SD card with him doing, let's just say, unsavory acts with other women that weren't his wife.
And I felt like it was either fake stuff or lose my relationship with this girl that I was crazy for. And as you know, I chose Mila over the channel and decided to go and live in Rotterdam so I could be with her. And look how it turned out. I ended up losing thousands of pounds in rent and staying there. And she destroyed my channel, and my content was just kind of rubbish after the whole Mila thing happened.
And then he also claims that his content was rubbish afterwards. And it's literally just the same kind of content. Like, the only thing that's different from his content from before and his content after he broke up with Mila is the video game content.
The thing is, if she dumped me 4 days later, I could have claimed that I was non-UK tax resident, because in the UK, if you're outside of the UK for over 182 days, then you can claim to be non-UK tax resident and you wouldn't have to pay tax on the money you made whilst outside of the UK. Unfortunately, I was outside of the UK for only 179 days.
I do want to comment on this non-UK resident status for a second. I do find it kind of interesting that the UK has a law like this. I did not know this. That if you are away from the UK for more than 183 days, you will be considered a non-tax UK resident. But it's kind of funny how he frames this as if he had broken up with his girlfriend a couple days later, he would have been considered this, but I'm not sure why he didn't just stay in the Netherlands. Like, I understand, like, he might have been depressed, but at the same time, there's a lot to do in the Netherlands, and I'm sure that was probably one of the first times that he had visited the Netherlands to begin with. To be fair to him, like, I understand if he didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know the UK non-tax resident law was a thing either until I saw this video. but it seems weird to me that he would blame his lack of knowledge on this law on his girlfriend. Uh, that just seems very odd. That just seems like he should have been more knowledgeable about this stuff before he traveled there. Um, I mean, the guy's 30 plus years old. He's a full adult. He should be able to do his own research, and he should definitely be more knowledgeable about this stuff. Now, I'm not really holding water for this girl. This girl might have been a manipulative piece of shit. Um, I also don't really know how old this person was, Mila. I don't know how old she was, if she was like a college student or like a full-grown adult who was just broke. But either way, Daniel just needs to take responsibility for his own actions. He can't say on one hand that he spent all this money on women and then the other hand blame his ex-girlfriend for making him spend that money. You know? It seems kind of odd.
Sometimes I really feel like I regret meeting Mila. Meeting Mila just set off this chain of events that gave me the worst depression that I ever felt my entire life. She had this really negative impact and effect on my channel because it made me kind of hate making videos, because the reason she dumped me the first time was basically because she didn't like my content or my toxic audience or the toxic nature of my content. And back then I felt like I was making good content even though it was weird and toxic. People enjoyed it and found it entertaining. But I lost the willpower to make that stuff after experiencing catastrophic heartbreak because of the content.
You know, I can actually empathize with him a little bit in that, like, loss can be a very big motivator, in terms of doing the stuff you like to do. I mean, I know I've had loss before. I've never been in a situation that Daniel here has been in, but I've had loss before, and it's been tough to deal with. Um, but eventually you get over it and you find new things to do, and you find new motivations, and you find new purpose. But, I mean, if you look at Daniel's channel, a lot of the content that he's made over the course of many years has been very similar. The only change that I've seen over the past, let's say, like, a couple of years, since I haven't been watching his content all that much in the past couple of years, but looking at his videos, he's been making a lot more gaming content and gaming reviews. And videos about PewDiePie raising a white child in Japan.
Sometimes I feel like meeting Mila was like this cursed fantasy that came true. It's kind of like a corrupt your dream. I had this dream of dating this young, cute girl, and it came true. But then the negative consequences and effects of that relationship were just so great, and I'm still feeling them today. And people keep telling me that I should get a tax accountant or a tax advisor. I did pay £150 a couple months ago, earlier this year, for a tax accountant. And it was basically a waste of money because I showed him my statements and my earnings, and he basically just came to the same number that I came to by myself. He just added up all the earnings, deducted the expenses, and said I had to pay this amount of tax, which is the exact amount that I worked out by myself. So he didn't really help me save any money. I think I have enough money to be able to pay all of the tax by myself, but I don't have enough money to pay the penalties. So I don't know how I'm going to get the money for the penalties. I'm really hoping they'll let me do some kind of monthly payment plan. I was really stupid because I thought I was going to keep making loads of money every year for years to come, and if there were any problems with tax or penalties or fines, I would easily be able to pay it off because I thought I'd still be making like £30,000 a year even now. But unfortunately, YouTube is not exactly very reliable, and one year can be really great. Like last year was great. I had videos like Elden Ring do really well, and people were still interested in my vlogs and my streams. And then I don't know what happened, but like after halfway through of this year, people just stopped watching, and I went from getting like 10, 15k views now down to below 5k views. Some of my videos have as low as only 2 or 3k views now, and there hasn't really been much trending topics or games that I can cover that can really boost my views up.
Daniel complaining about his own wife is at the heart of his channel, and is sort of the reason why he got the viewers that he got in the first place. And he's been creating the same concept for a very long time, so people have just kind of grown out of that. And there are phases on YouTube. He knows this because he admits in comments that, oh, if I blew up in 2015 and we've had a lot more success, he's very aware that there are trends on YouTube, right? We had the anti-SCW trend, for example, and then we had the trend of movie reviewers who just talk trash about movies in the early 2000s. We had this trend of BreadTube, which is like a leftist YouTube that was counteracting the SJWs. So there are these trends on YouTube that go in and out, and he's just one of those trends. And unless he wants to do entirely new content, people are not going to come back to his channel if it just keeps rehashing the same stories over and over again. There are only so many times that HIMR viewers will hear the same stories about, oh, why he slept with his fan and why he hung out with his girlfriend who was 4 years old and had a kid, right? People will only hear those stories a certain number of times before they say, yeah, I feel like his content's kind of boring. He hasn't really moved on and done newer stuff. So, I'm just going to move on to something else. I'm very confused about how he claims that there's nothing to talk about on YouTube, there are no big games to talk about. And I just say that is horseshit, because there's a trending topic for content every single day, right? I can name various trending topics off the top of my head that have gone mainstream, right? There's a lot of people talking about the YouTube boxing stuff. The Shanghai versus iDub thing was a big thing for a couple of months. There's a lot of TikTok trends that people are talking about. I mean, I'm not going to talk about that. I think that stuff is cringe. But there's beauty channels to talk about. There's React streamers are mainstream these days. I don't necessarily like that, but there's a lot of content talking about the discourse of React streamers. And there's also a lot of the red pill stuff. I know that stuff is kind of dying now, and some of that stuff is sort of like a pipeline into like white nationalism. But you know what? Like, there's still a lot of discourse around the red pill stuff, and it's not going to go away. It does seem like from this video alone that he does have some regrets about spending the money that he had, which, okay, is commendable to some extent, but I don't really like this tendency to just blame other causes, their surroundings, for all your problems. And I think that's sort of like the embodiment of why so many people make fun of Daniel, is because all he does is he complains about his life and he doesn't want to do anything to fix it. Normally I'd be a little bit more empathetic for an issue like this, but funny enough, a couple videos after he published this one, maybe a month later, he publishes a video about getting a new iPhone 15. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, he posted a video saying, oh, I'm broke. And then he posts another video saying, oh, I'm getting an iPhone 15, and not for my girlfriend, but I'm getting it for myself.
What?
You gave me?
No, it's mine.
I think if Daniel was actually serious about paying his taxes, he probably would do something like host a GoFundMe or reach out to his mom and I know he has a sister as well. I know him and his mom are not on the greatest terms based on what I've seen in videos, but it sounds like he should at least reach out to them and see if they can help in some regard. Um, but based on some of these Discord messages I'm seeing that have been leaked, I think his current plan for paying his taxes is to just not pay them at all, which is a bit of a doozy if you ask me. So I don't hope that Vail has put in the disclaimer, but if he ends up going to the disclaimer, I will not be surprised. Okay, so I think I should wrap up the video. Um, uh, I hope you guys liked this one. It's a little bit different from my content in the past, but if you liked it, please let me know. If you didn't like it, please let me know. If you thought it was boring as shit, also let me know. Because I'm putting a lot of new things on this channel. Within the next couple of months because I'm in a bit of a content grind right now. So yeah, hope to see you guys around.